defend Israel from drone and missile strikes launched by Iran. The two sides trading more attacks overnight as that conflict continues to escalate. Jennifer Griffin, live from the Pentagon, brings us up to speed from her post now. And Jennifer, hello.
Hi, Bill. The Israelis, using American-made F-35 stealth fighter jets, did in less than 4 days something that the Russian Air Force has been incapable of doing in Ukraine for 3.5 years. It established air superiority. That means Israeli non-stealth F-15 and F-16 fighter jets can now carry out airstrikes and hunt down the mobile ballistic missile launchers that are terrorizing Israeli cities. Two U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers, the USS Sullivans and USS Arleigh Burke in the eastern Mediterranean, have been shooting down Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. The Navy has ordered the USS Thomas Hudner for backup, along with a fourth Navy destroyer. And we have now learned the aircraft carrier strike group, the USS Nimitz, on its final sea voyage will deploy from the Pacific. Deeply symbolic, since it was the Nimitz deployed in 1980 and its helicopters that were part of the failed U.S. effort to rescue the American hostages held at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. The U.S. has been in a shadow war against Iran ever since. Israel may not be able to reach the parts of Iran's nuclear program that are buried inside mountains and underground without U.S. help. U.S. B2 bombers are the only air asset that can drop the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs known as the Massive Ordnance Penetrator. Only the U.S. has them. When pressed on whether Trump had denied any military requests like the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs delivered by those B-2 bombers needed to hit Iran's deeply buried nuclear sites, Netanyahu deflected, saying it was President Trump's decision. Quote, "I trust his judgment completely." That from Bret Baier's exclusive interview with the Israeli Prime Minister yesterday. Bill?
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer Griffin, the Pentagon, thank you. Dana?
And for more on all of this, we do have that special report anchor, Bret Baier, with us. And Bret, just as we were talking in the last few minutes, there is a new exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal that says this: a battered Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities with Israel and negotiate as long as the United States stays out of the fight. This is just developing now. Let's get your take on it, since you are quite up to speed.
Yeah, good morning, Bill and Dana. I asked Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday about the Iran foreign minister talking to reporters, saying if Israel stops attacking, we will stop counterattacking and get to the table, suggesting that they were coming to the table. This is what the Iran foreign minister said, with a deal that possibly America would see as acceptable. The Prime Minister said that is essentially BS. He said that's just not true. It's a bunch of hogwash, in his words, that when they were coming to the table, he cited the Supreme Leader saying death to America, death to Israel, as that was happening. So I think there's a lot of skepticism about this outreach. That said, President Trump has said he does want to get back to the table if they're serious about agreeing to dismantlement.
Yeah, a couple things here. It struck me what General Keane was arguing a moment ago when I asked specifically about that. The president of Israel, Herzog, was with Dana and me about half an hour ago. Fordow is apparently the most fortified nuclear site in the entire country of Iran. So far as we can tell, it's hard to reach. Half a mile buried beneath rock inside of a mountain. Here is President Herzog on the question of going nuclear in real time. Watch. Can they fuel a bomb amidst this war on day 4 already?
As far as I know, I don't think it's feasible. I think that would be a very dangerous development. We are trying with all our might and capabilities and our heroic fighters and pilots to make sure that they don't get there, but rather that we delay, postpone, undermine their capability of getting to the bomb.
I don't want to get too far ahead of this, but Keane's argument is the United States has to use bunker buster bombs now to take out this facility. Otherwise, the Arab region looks at you and says, what was this war all about? In a year or two, you get to fortify that center yet again. Did Netanyahu go there with you?
I went many times to try to get that answer. I have heard privately that the ask has happened, but not the response. I don't know what the response is. Prime Minister Netanyahu wouldn't get that specific. It is true that the B-2 bomber is the only thing that can carry the 30,000-pound MOP, the massive ordnance penetrator, the bunker buster that can get into the half-mile deep mountain lair, if you will, of Fordow. And then Isfahan is another facility that's buried deeply and where enriched uranium is stored. So the Iranians have a couple of facilities that only U.S. technology could get to, and the real question is whether President Trump will decide that that's worth it now, and that's where this hinges.
You know, Russia apparently, according to the wires, wants to be seen as a peacemaker in this situation, saying that it could help communicate between Israel and Iran, and yet it doesn't seem to want to be a peacemaker in its own region. You have President Trump in Canada today with the G7. They're likely to talk about Israel, and Zelensky is going to be in Canada as well. And I wonder how Russia fits into all of this.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan. I mean, the fact that President Trump had this call with President Putin and Putin volunteering to get in the middle of Israel and Iran as this peacekeeping role, and yet won't sit at the table with Zelensky to bring the end to the current war that they are fighting is pretty ironic. I think the G7 is going to be pretty loud and boisterous, and a lot of other leaders are going to make their feelings clear about both of these operations.
Yeah. Good to work with Netanyahu, and we'll see what we get today. Thank you, Brett.
All right.
We'll see you at 6
guys.
o'clock. Thank you.